Turkey's president and prime minister have employed vitriolic rhetoric against the Doğan Media Group over a headline in its flagship daily about ousted Egyptian leader Mohammed Morsi, who was recently sentenced to death. In yet another instance of the targeting of independent media outlets that criticize the government, President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has repeatedly attacked the Hürriyet daily for a story it also posted on its online web portal headlined, "World in Shock, Death Sentence for President Who Won 52% of the Vote." Erdoğan viewed the headline as a concealed threat to him, claiming the headline suggested that he had been threatened with the death penalty handed down to Morsi. Erdoğan was elected in August to the presidency also with 52% of the popular vote, and has spoken about the insinuation of the headline in public rallies and on news programs. In response to Erdoğan targeting the daily, Hürriyet published an editorial on the front page of its Tuesday edition calling Erdoğan's accusation very unjust and unfounded and asking if he has any evidence to back up his claim. "What is your evidence?" the editorial asked. "Is your evidence that we used a sentence that you yourself used? How could there be evidence to justify your claim? How can there be distortion to this extent? Mr. President, what do you want from us?" the editorial also said, adding, "Why are you attacking us with blatant injustice and clear distortions? Why are you turning us into a target? What do you want from us? Will you close us down?" Legal action taken against Hürriyet editors. Criminal complaints have been filed against the editors of Hürriyet and its website over the headline about Morsi, who was sentenced to death by an Egyptian court on May 16. Morsi and his fellow defendants were convicted on charges of killing and kidnapping police officers, attacking police facilities and breaking out of jail during Egypt's Arab Spring uprising. The sentences are subject to appeal and the court will pronounce its final decision on June 2 after the death sentences are referred to the Grand Mufti, the Egyptian government's interpreter of Islamic law. Following Erdoğan's outburst, lawyer Rami Kurt asked prosecutors to launch an investigation into Hürriyet's editor-in-chief Sedat Ergin, managing director at Doğan and the Daily's internet editors for inciting hatred and enmity, inciting people to armed rebellion against the government, praising crime and criminals and spreading propaganda for a terrorist organization. He also requested their arrest. Erdoğan claims Doğan Media working together with parallel structure. Erdoğan also accused the Doğan Media Group and Hürriyet of having links to the parallel structure, a derogatory term devised by Erdoğan to denigrate the faith-based Gülen movement, also known as the Hizmet movement. Erdoğan and the Justice and Development Party, AK Party, government have launched a self-declared war against the Hizmet movement, which is inspired by the ideas of Turkish Islamic scholar Fethullah Gülen after a corruption probe went public on December 17, 2013, incriminating senior members of the government, the sons of 3 now former ministers and government-affiliated figures, as well as family members of then Prime Minister Erdoğan. Erdoğan, do you think we will forget those days and headlines? During a rally in Ankara on Tuesday, Erdoğan verbally attacked Aydın Doğan, the head of the Doğan Media Group, for the second time. "Why did you feel uneasy, Doğan? Wasn't it you who ran a story with the headline 411 hands were raised for chaos in reference to a parliamentary vote in 2008 that aimed to remove a ban on heads-carved students entering Turkish universities? Wasn't it you who ran a story with another headline claiming that I should not even be elected as a Matar head of a village? Do you think we will forget those days and headlines? I was elected president and you still continue with your stance. You don't respect the choice of the people," Erdoğan said. Erdoğan, "I don't care what those charlatans write." On program on the staunchly pro-government TV channel ATV on Thursday evening, Erdoğan continued to criticize Hürriyet and Doğan, saying, "I don't care what your columnists write. I don't care what your bankrolled charlatans write, they mean nothing to me." Sometimes he Aydın Doğan spoke the truth, like, "We the Doğan Media Group didn't want to do this, criticize you, but we can't interfere with columnists and so on. And they Hürriyet have these Doğan Media publishing principles as if they are the only honest people. Now they are sending me a message with this editorial," Erdoğan added. Erdoğan continued, "I told him, Aydın Doğan, whatever you do, whoever you gather around yourself, I'm not going to be a common president. Your threats do not concern me. PM Davutoglu joins the tirade. Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu also joined Erdoğan's tirade, claiming that Hürriyet's headline was suggestive and was drawing a parallel between Erdoğan and Morsi, given that Erdoğan was also elected with 52% of the vote in Turkey's August 2014 presidential election. Addressing a crowd in Zonguldak province during an election rally on May 18, the Prime Minister also recalled the headline about the parliamentary vote to remove the headscarf ban. Those who ran such stories against freedoms in the past now mention freedoms and advocate them. I respect media freedoms, but everyone should know their place, Davutoglu said. Erdoğan's top aide claims Real Pool Media was formed for Doğan. The threats to the Doğan Media Group started long before any mischievous headlines were published. On February 22, 2014, Yiğit Bulut, who was one of then Prime Minister Erdoğan's top aides, said on a pro-government TV channel that the Real Pool was formed for Aden Doğan. The term pool media is used to denote media corporations close the AK party that were allegedly brought with funds gathered from a group of businessmen on the instructions of then Prime Minister Erdoğan in return for privileged treatment in public tenders. Speaking about the 1994 economic crisis in Turkey, Yiğit Bulut claimed after being issued with government bonds with a 50% yield rate after 90 days, issued by the then Prime Minister Tansu Çiller, some 5,000 of Turkey's richest businesspeople were given half of the state's funds in 3 months, and that Turkey's largest newspaper at the time, the Hürriyet Daily, was handed to Aden Doğan via state funds. Isn't it time to take care of Aden Doğan, says ProGovT journalist. One of the most ardent supporters of Erdoğan and the AK party, Sem Kukuk, wrote in his column in the pro-government Star Daily in February that the time had come to take care of Aden Doğan, openly threatening the media mogul. Claiming that the Turkish authorities wanted to believe the sincerity of Aden Doğan and that they knew he was not a voluntary partner of the parallel structure, Kukuk asked, "Then is it time to take care of Mr. Aden?" AK party deputy chairman says Aden Doğan will pay the price. In another instance of the government targeting the Doğan Media Group, AK party deputy chairman Süleyman Soylu threatened Aden Doğan on Press Freedom Day. While on an election campaign in the Black Sea province of Trabzon on May 3, Soylu lambasted the People's Democratic Party, HDP, saying that the AK party's campaign offices in the eastern and southeastern regions of Turkey have been threatened by HDP supporters. He then went on to criticize the media mogul, shouting, "You too will pay the price for what you have done." Justice Minister, Doğan trying to Polish HDP to detriment of AK party. The criticisms were continued by Justice Minister Bekir Bozdağ, who said during a visit to an election office in the province of Bolu on May 9 that the parallel media and the Doğan Media Group were trying to polish the HDP so that it would pass the 10% election threshold and cause the AK party to lose seats in parliament and even its majority. The Doğan Media Group is the same as the parallel structure, they too have their spin doctors. Erdoğan uses financial tools to tame critics. The AK party government is known to use financial tools to reward loyalties and punish dissent, showing how assertive it could be in 2009 when Doğan Holding was slapped with a fine for tax evasion amounting to more than $3 billion. The Doğan Media Group lost a sizable tax fraud case against the Ministry of Finance, costing it TL 713 million, and is now preparing to appeal the verdict, the holding said in statement in 2010. The case was a part of a larger trial as part of which Doğan Holding was charged with tax evasion amounting to TL 4.8 billion. Some analysts liken the case to legal cases against Russia's Mikhail Khodorkovsky, who was at one time a billionaire businessman and seen as a potentially powerful opponent of Russian President Vladimir Putin. In 2005, Khodorkovsky was convicted of fraud and tax evasion, given an 8-year sentence and sent to a Siberian prison. Press freedom in Turkey worst it has ever been. In recent years, it has become very common for Erdoğan and government officials to single out journalists and media owners, who have been targeted and even arrested due to their criticism of the government or the president. Many journalists in Turkey have been placed under such great pressure after being detained or having charges filed against them that it has almost become impossible for them to do their jobs. As a part of the immense government pressure on media outlets related to the Hizmet movement, the Zaman Daily's editor-in-chief Ekrem Dumanel and Samanyolu Broadcasting Group general manager Hidayet Karaka, both of which are media outlets affiliated with the Hizmet movement, were taken into custody on December 14, 2014. Dumanel was released pending trial, but Karaka was arrested and still remains in jail on suspicion of being a member of an armed organization. The charges against him are based on a TV series that was broadcast a few years ago. Despite a court ruling last month ordering the release of Karaka and 63 arrested police officers, they have not been released. In another move, journalist Mahir Zialov from today's Zaman was expelled from Turkey on the grounds of insulting Erdogan in his tweets. Zialov was forced to leave Turkey for his native Azerbaijan in February 2014. The deterioration of press freedom in Turkey has been condemned by international organizations on a number of occasions. US-based watchdog Freedom House downgraded Turkey from partly free to not free in its Freedom of the Press 2014 report, citing a significant decline in press freedom in Turkey. In addition, Reporters Without Borders, RSF, ranked Turkey 149th out of 180 countries in its latest Press Freedom Index.